called a low lunge. And pretty much pushing that back hip forward, so that will help target the hip flexor, right? Just the whole front of the hip. Really like that. So that's the front of the hip. And you know what? While we're here, you can move forward, stretching the front of the hip and shift the hips back. Might as well allow the hamstring to join the party too. Because the bottom of the hamstrings, everything's kind of connected, right? So that will help your movement if the hamstrings are loose. Then, so that's looking at the front of the hip, might as well let the hamstring join the party. Another one is the outside of the hips. They're just so notoriously tight, and that's okay. It's just the way she goes. So posting the hands behind, looking at your favorite foot. When you found your favorite foot, put it on the opposite quad. This will stretch the outside of the hips. Man, it's so great, especially if you're in class and someone's teaching technique. Just take a little stretch. And there's this variation here. Actually, I'm going to switch to show you. Next set is you can go on your back. So you can go on your back, grab the ankle. You can really only grab one ankle. One ankle is accessible, or one shin, and drop to the side. So you'll feel a pretty nice stretch through the outside of the hip. And it's a nice, relaxing, kind of lazy stretch. Because there's also the traditional, what's called pigeon pose, where you have like both feet in the 90-90, both legs in the 90-90, and you can just sit over top. And for the back leg, you can straighten it. Now, this one I found to be really good, but then for those of us that have some problems with the knees, which is a lot of us, or a lot of people I know, mostly just me, problems with the knees, that can irritate it a bit. So you want to, so that's why the pigeon is okay. It's not my total favorite, but for some people it may be opposite, right? It's just what you like. So you can also do the pigeons. Those are 3 amazing stretches for the hips. And if you jump on our Instagram, Adam and I posted some quick 1-minute videos of stretches for the hips, and they're a little bit different. So make sure to jump on there, save that video. We put it up for you. Now, while I'm waiting for more questions here, I'm really excited to be putting together a Muay Thai stretching program. And obviously the concepts transfer from Muay Thai to Jiu-Jitsu. They're not that different. So Muay Thai, if you take it apart, and I'll take it apart for Jiu-Jitsu too, Muay Thai, you're rotating through the spine. A lot of it is rotation and pulling back from the rotation. So with the punches going through, you know, with boom, the crosses, pulling back, a lot of them you're rotating. Even more so with the kicks. I wonder, I'm just setting this up. I wonder if I can even, with the kicks, I don't know if I'll still be on camera here if I stand up, but with the kicks, you're rotating. I'll go on this side. You're rotating through, right? The hips are rotating, and even the torso and arms. There's a lot of rotating happening. Now, to be able to do that more effectively, what do we have to do to loosen up the spine, right? The spine, which is the anchor, attaches the head to the hips, but also like the side bodies, the muscles. And it's not that different in Jiu-Jitsu. The concepts are also in Jiu-Jitsu. So if I'm on my back and I'm doing a scissor sweep, boom, it's not that different. We're constantly rotating, or if someone is being a jerk to me and they're better at Jiu-Jitsu, that doesn't happen. I'm just kidding. So here, the legs are on the side and the torso's up. What's happening with the spine? It's being forcefully rotated. We call it involuntary yoga. That's the joke. This is a way to make Jiu-Jitsu or even our Muay Thai, both the concept, there's a lot of rotation through the spine, making us better off, like on the yoga stretching mats, to make us better on our training mats. So some of my favorite ones are just so simple, but so effective. I just love those simple foundations, you know? Just taking a seat, and then reaching the favorite arm up and over to the opposite side. This is a super nice stretch through the side, lower back, middle back, upper back. And there's a lot more stretching in there that you don't even realize. The lower back takes quite a toll in both kickboxing and jiu-jitsu. So this is a super nice stretch through all the muscles in that lower back. And then up, obviously do your other side. So we stay balanced. And it's not that uncommon for the back and everything to get jammed up, you know? So just while I'm chatting with you guys, make sure to send over any questions you have. I get really excited about this stuff. So it's not that uncommon for the back to get jammed up in the jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai. So opening up side to side stretches. And the next one, just introducing some rotation, sitting tall. So really, really, really tall, the top of the head up, and actually rotate to one side. Think of your spine as a pearl necklace, you know, and if it's crunched up, it doesn't really like to rotate, but if you make it long and then you twist it, it twists really nicely. And that's what we want. So if the spine is crunched down and you rotate, I'm like, this doesn't feel good. In fact, this feels pretty bad. So sit tall, sit tall. Pretend there's a string on the top of the head reaching up. Now don't crank it, okay? So take your favorite hand, place it behind you, my opposite hand, just on the knee. Lift, and look over to the left side. So this is a really gentle rotation of the spine, and the spine likes to rotate with breath. So breathe in, breathe out, and just rotate over to the left. Breathe in, breathe out, and just rotate. So only going to 70%. But realizing that every time you breathe out, you're able to rotate a tiny bit more. Obviously, move to the other side. Any suggestions which opening the chest while strengthening the shoulders? I'm a blue belt and love yoga. Opening the chest, oh, such a good question, right? So strengthening the shoulders, and my guess is by strengthening the shoulders, you're doing push-ups, maybe if you're doing weights or kettles, boom. But with all these things, we're closed in, we're closed forward, and that's okay. That's just the way she goes, right? Opening the chest. Some of my favorite ones are, to start simple, sitting again tall. I'm obsessed with sitting tall today, I guess. Boom, boom. So cactus arms or Americana arms, opening and closing. Just like this. And when it's open, when your cactus arms are open, pull the shoulder blades together and down. So we've activated the back of the shoulder blades, because if you're doing a lot of strengthening in the shoulders, depending on what you're doing, and it's quite common for the front to be very strengthened. So this balances the strength through the front in the back. And again, this is a fantastic question for jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai practitioners, because we're always forward again, right? I would start with that. Then if you stretch the front, you also want to stretch the back. So I'm going to show you one stretch for the back of the shoulders. Take one arm, your favorite arm over cross, and the other arm to hold it. This is variation 1. Variation 2, maybe both hands together, and allow everything to round forward. And what this does is stretches between the shoulder blades. So I'm loosening up the back so we could stretch the front more effectively. Okay, number 1. Obviously, we do the other side because we don't want the other side to feel left out. It gets really upset. So that's number 2. Now for the front of the shoulders, the good part. My favorite is going into what's called a Sphinx pose. Elbows under the shoulder. Now, I want you to bring your elbow out. So we have a 90-degree angle. You still see my elbow, it's in line with the shoulder. With your fingers, just walk the elbow up a tiny bit. Not a lot, just a bit. Then turn to the other side. You'll feel a stretch through the front of the shoulder. And I gotta be honest, sometimes people will do a straight arm stretch, straight and turn, and this works, this is okay, but I find what happens with the straight arm stretch is it pulls kind of the shoulder up, and it's kind of messy, and I don't like it, and I don't really feel the stretch to the front of the shoulder. I kind of feel it near the elbow. So create, or goal post, pretend it's a goal post, walk the elbow up just a little bit and turn the opposite way. I feel like I need to balance myself out and do the other side now. But you turn the opposite way, and that's a fantastic stretch through the front of the shoulder. And you can just chill here, head down. You can rotate your hips over. And then you may have some people who are freaks in nature who can go like all the way over. But I'll move through that stretch in the front 2 or 3 times. Probably usually twice. I'll do right, left, and the second time right, left. Yeah, so try that. And it's a fantastic stretch on its own, but the prep work is also really nice. So to recap, you're doing, boom, just elbow, shoulder blades together and down, as if you're putting shoulder blades in the back pockets. A few of these, a little variation. Boom, so elbows pretty much intertwine the arms. And of course, if you can't, just one arm straight and stretch the back of the between the shoulder blades, then move into your cactus on the ground. So that's, the stretching itself is really nice, but the prep work with the stretch makes it really, really good too. So that, thank you, that was a fantastic question, and that's really important for basically absolutely everyone at all times. Because unless you're a dancer, I had one friend who's a dancer, she had phenomenal posture, but most of the time, like, our lives are lived forward. Shoulders are forward, back is rounded, we're on the computer, the car, the couch, and that's fine. That's just the way she goes, right? It's even in jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, like everything's forward. So those stretches are incredibly important and they feel so good. I actually have the last couple live streams I did, last couple Saturdays. If you Google Sarah and look at some of my classes, I do slow openings for the shoulders. So they're slower because faster stretches and flows are incredibly important to stretch the muscles and bring blood flow. But then there's slower stretches held for like 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes even 10 minutes. I haven't held them for 10 yet in teaching, to release the ligaments and tendons and fascia. So you have 2 different worlds. So that's what I do sometimes in my Saturday classes. You can jump into one of those where just go Sarah and then search shoulders in our Yoga for BJJ platform, front of the shoulders and then the back. So I have a deep appreciation of opening those shoulders because over years and years and years, they get tight. So it feels so good to balance that. And what time do we have? Oh, perfect. Okay. So just to close this up here, we had for spinal rotation, sitting tall, rotating, boom, right side, left side. And then another one, which is really, really nice for that spine, because again, we need the spine to be limber and able to move. And this is mostly like a lot of the middle of the spine, because you also have the upper spine, which is, it again tends to get jammed up and it's hard to unjam and get moving, but that's why we do stretching, basically to make us move better. Another one of my favorite ones, which is great if you're tired, passive one, bringing the legs to one side, reaching your opposite arm up and pulling it behind. That's so nice. And I think like I finished, so it's rotating the spine. The legs are one way, the torso is the other way, and we're using the stretch in like using the relationship of gravity and a position to stretch. So I'm allowing gravity to do the stretch, to do the work, and it's so great. It's so great. I love stuff like that. All right, team. So I am going to get ready to start my live class, and although it's kind of geared towards kickboxing and boxing, rotation of the spine, it's really good for jiu-jitsu people too. It's really good like across the board just to loosen everything up and get it feeling good. And it'll be about 30 minutes, just a whole all around, targeting everything, the lower back, a little bit of core, spine, spinal flexion, like just getting the spine moving, extended, strengthened, just really to feel good. And it's actually pretty mind-blowing what 30 minutes can do. Even 10 minutes, 20 minutes, you hit 30, you get like, it's just unreal. Super fun to hang out with everybody, and I will see you soon.